Kepler's law, third law, says that the square of the period of the planets is proportional to the cube of the radius. This was discovered pretty long time ago, almost 400 years, more than 400 years. You can actually derive Kepler's third law from Newton's law. The force of gravity on any planet.
Oh, nice.
Oh, watch this, dog. Watch this mass. Watch this mass disappear.
They always say that they can't do this.
The mass of the planet times its radius times its angular velocity squared. The angular velocity is 2 pi over t, where t is the period. So you can derive Kepler's law from Newton's law, but notice that the mass of the planet disappears. It cancels out. And this is characteristic of when you have something that is kinematic, something that depends only on empirical observation and doesn't depend on a law of physics.
See ya laser, dude.
Wow.
Dude.
It doesn't depend on imaginary.
It doesn't depend on mass attracting mass. It's literally just a kinematic description of what's going on in the system. It has no physical meaning attached to it.
Right. Yep.
Toby's gonna have to clip this into something that we share forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is epic.
Like, dude, just cancels right out, homie. See you, laser.
We all knew that in our, like, within our hearts.
Inherently.
We all knew that.
Inherently, we thought that, yeah, but we had no proof.
We all knew.
Because they knew. They didn't know. So, like, obviously, they're just making shit up.
Yep. We knew that. We knew inherently they were making shit up, but it's nice to have the mathematical backing to show everyone how they were making shit up.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is just a graphic representation.
Watch the mass disappear.
Poof, it's gone. Look.
Poof. Oh, look, it doesn't matter. Oh, dude, and then when he gets into the two solutions for the perihelion, the two complete solutions, and like the conditions they have to impose on him. I mean, dude, it was like music to my earlobes or whatever, you know. So we're getting into all of it. It was so good.
Presentation of Kepler's law, and it shows that all of the planets, including the Earth as a planet, because this is the heliocentric model, all of them line up in a proportionality where this is the constant of proportionality. And
yes.
This is proof, allegedly.
That's because they derived everything from that.
Yeah.
Right? They took the one measurement and they took the form of scaling and variance where they can just make it bigger or smaller, and then all the factors involved would scale coherently, and they built the fucking solar system. Holy shit.
Yeah.
How else would you build the solar system?
Yeah, from optical observations of an assumed circumference. Like, I don't know. There's no other way.
Like, that's how it all started. We all know. They told us that much.
Oh, man.
Dude, do we just do a 3-hour watch party on this? Like,
well, it's tough because I've never seen it. We're gonna stop and talk. It'll be like an 8-hour watch party.
No,
we can't do that.
No, I know, but it's so good though. Like the little synopsis.
We go through the presentation and then we just like grab random spots where we remember him saying really good stuff.
Yep. Okay. Let's go back to the PowerPoint so we don't overdo it. Then.
Good shit. Well, hold on. We'll let him finish out this explanation because you pretty much just summed it up. So yeah, with the scale invariance, with their constant for Earth or gravitational influence, they're good to go. They're all set
in the sun system. And over here are the details that you can see. You can see that t squared times a cubed, divided by a cubed, is basically a constant, in this case 3.
All right. Very cool. Let's see what else we got. So this was awesome, the parallax stuff. Let's take a look at that real quick.
What do you think about the stars being electrostatic condensates, like just a little ball of electricity that's basically trapped, at a constructive interference point? Because then you could actually apply Newton's law of gravity since it mimics Coulomb's law, and it would actually describe the force between the point charges.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because the with the mass not even being the actual factor, and it's just a description of the inverse relationship with it.
Oh,
I kind of like what you're saying there. Like,
so yeah, let's combine.
So
the negation of the inclusion of mass for the dynamic equivalence breakdown for the kinematics for the geocentric kinematics, whatever the fuck you said. Let's compare that with the fucking inverse relationship that mass plays to Coulomb's law and Newton's law of gravitation, right? G equals m1 over and m2 over q, I think, or whatever the fuck. R, there it is, there.
I'm about to pull
so, yeah. So if mass doesn't matter in the kinematic breakdown, and mass matters for everything between the differentiation between Coulomb's law of electrostatics and Newton's law of gravitation, then what can we extrapolate about mass. I don't know.
Well, if you think about it, it's like the geocentric model, and the heliocentric model can be mimicked by the thing that whatever that paper was that Whitsitt was talking about last night. The relationship between or what is it where both of them are described by the same thing, basically.
It's a kinematic equivalence, meaning they can mathematically describe them symmetrically perfectly. Yeah.
Kinematic equivalent. That's exactly what you have right here, except you're just replacing mass with the point charges.
Well, yeah, but the significance of actually, when you come down to it, mass is nothing. It cancels out from both sides of the equation when they do the breakdown, meaning that it's like statistically irrelevant. And they were like, "Oh, it's everything." Well, no, it's nothing, because you can remove it completely and nothing changes. So, like, what do we say about that relationship when you say the only thing separating the law of electrostatic force and the law of gravitation is an inverse relationship to mass?
Because if you think about it, if you think about what Polaris is as a vortex point in a toroidal field, then what are the rest of the things going to be? They're going to be basically a mimicry of that, because it's just going to be constructive interference points along that toroidal field array, along the construct.
So Shane, I forget, Fractal Woman has a video on it, but basically two vortexes that are spinning the same direction will, I think they join, or like, they attract.
They'll
So-
repel, I think, right? Isn't it? Two in the same motion repel.
You would think, but it was like it blew
Oh,
me
it's
away
the opposite of opposites
it's the
attract. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, so we're dealing with vortex situations here with all this. So it's like just two vortexes, in an inverse relationship between those two vortexes.
Are you talking about toroidal versus poloidal fields? Like where they combine toroidal and poloidal, where they were? That's one of the.
I think he's talking just about the motion.
Yeah, just
So,
talking about the motion and the speed of the vortex.
So when you guys were talking about like mass, right? Like Coulomb's law deals with charge, right? And then they replace charge with mass when it comes to the universal law of gravitation. Everything else is basically the same. You just have a different constant that's moved in there, and then you throw in the radius of the Earth or the distance, I guess it would be the same. So my understanding, I always boil mass down to what is mass at its essence. And I go to atomic mass, and then when I look at the periodic table, but I look at it the way that Walter Russell lays it out, makes perfect sense to me. You have this, I guess you could say, harmonious flow in a sine wave pattern within the periodic table of elements based on vibration. But then the breaking down of the atomic mass, if they're calling protons, neutrons, and electrons, and they define those as like positive and negative charge and a neutral charge, however you want to describe those, a charge and a discharge and a equilibrium. That's how it's all broken down. So effectively, I look at the universal law of gravitation as Coulomb's law, just in a different octave or a different vibratory spectrum, in the same way that you would look at like something being coherent and incoherent when it comes to magnetism.
Ooh.
So I look at Coulomb's law as like a coherent electrostatic acceleration towards a null pressure point, and then the universal law of gravitation as like an incoherent acceleration.
What a fantastic fucking contribution. Thank you.
So it's describing the pressure mediation between two things with an inverse proportional relationship.
Yeah, and based on the essence of that thing, it's basically what Newton was alluding to with mass, and mass attracting mass is some sort of weird thing that seems to be inherent to material. Well, if material structure is only able to be coalesced into reality based on these electrostatic bonds within the molecular and intermolecular structure of everything, would it make sense that overall you have this incoherency in which you have this relationship within the overall medium within the realm?
Well, dude, It's funny you mentioned that because the thing that was removed from Newton's Principe or whatever, his Grandmaster work or whatever, number 46, um, was his thoughts on the ether and how it actually worked. And so he basically was describing a pressure mediation system, and like, yeah, if you just replace that concept with like a mass attracting mass with those equations, now that we know that it's purely kinematic, I mean, it's literally just describing pressure mediation between two systems using a constant that they that they can use, that they can scale invariantly once they have once they just have a constant to work with.
Dude, I wonder if that guy Bennett, when he said gravitation, the force of gravitation is just static ether or ethereal static. I wonder if he reckoned like used the word static as like still, not in motion, or static to represent electromagnetic, electrostatic forces.
Gonna have to ask him.
Yeah, because it would be like a sweet little nod if he did it the way that we would use it.
Yeah,
it would tie in like that, like a little part 2 lead in or something.
Yeah, dude.
That would be dope.
No, he gave a big part 2 lead in.
Yeah,
he was so pumped to share.
I love the way he did the static, ethereal static, or was it static ether? That's what gravity is, just static ether. Oh, I caught a little static ether today, guys. It brought me down a little.
Yeah,
because
pretty interesting.
It's exactly inverse to the ether wind, right? The etheric wind that goes all the time. What's the force that pulls you down? Oh, well, just the static ether. That's ethereal static. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Man, that's fascinating, dude. So,
although personally, I love the etheric tides of today. That's my favorite part.
Yeah, the ether tides.
Yeah, dude, the tides were sick. This is gonna like lead to such cool things.
Yeah, absolutely, dude.
I can see it already spinning in my head. Like, yeah, dude. Toby, we're all rely on you to clip all these awesome things. Hopefully,
a lot of work to do.
The whole movement depends on you. Don't let us down, bud.